Turn microphone on. Says turn microphone on right there. It's funny. You can actually start this whole thing without even turning the microphone on. That's impressive. Just clean your ears too. Well, you know what? You probably should have cleaned your ears anyway. So you're welcome. I'm glad you guys can hear me now. Lauren Hutton, what's up? Lee, Luis, Kevin, Ruben, Eric. Ruben, gracias. You're welcome. De nada. Hey, say hi, Kirsten. Guys, we have 4 minutes before this thing officially starts. Kirsten, yeah. She is kind enough to be our model today. Shivy's going to be hosting with me. I'm sure you guys are waiting for her. Everywhere I go now, everyone's like, where's Shivani? Where's Shivani? It's cool.
It's because she's the best.
See? See?
And everybody would rather hang out with her than you.
See? See? Nice to have a session in the evening for those that work during the day. That's what Shivy planned for. She wanted you guys to stop bitching. Just kidding. Totally kidding. What's up, Lilia? Hey, is that Lilia from Orange County? I don't know another Lilia. I wish this was available before the wedding I did yesterday. But you know what? It's available for the wedding you do tomorrow or next week. What's up, Jose? Yes, this is Lilia from Orange County. Hey, Lilia. All right. Oh, so Kirsten is here to be our model. We're going to demonstrate some simple lighting techniques. I don't want to start yet, but we're going to do some fun stuff and kind of show you guys some of my favorite little tricks when you're working in crappy situations. Kind of like this room. This room is a crappy situation with fluorescent overhead lighting. We're going to pretend like there's other junk in here too, but.
Can we just talk about the perspective right here? How your head is so big.
Fit your head in the, there you go. Haha. Hey. Morning from India. Or Indi. Hi there from Valley Village. So happy to be here. Thanks, Lorraine. Hey, Harlan. Brittany from Texas. Yes. Here is the star herself.
Okay, you don't need to do this. Stop overcompensating for something. So if you guys check in the chat boxes, you'll see another little box that says offers. And for those of you that aren't premium members, we have a special discount.
I might have to go closer while the jets are flying overhead.
Plane flying over right now. We have a special discount for our webinar registrants, and it is $50 off premium. So using the code webinar in all caps, 50, and that's in the offers. So it actually just takes you directly to that link. So yes. Check that out. And we will be mentioning some of our education that we have in case you aren't familiar with it throughout the workshop too. So you get a good understanding of what we have to offer.
Come closer. We need to come closer so they can hear us. Where are you going? Okay, Kirsten, you come closer. Let's fill the frame. Let's fill the frame. Okay. So, no, but seriously, Shiv, we have to probably talk. So what we're going to do is here's the thing, guys. It is nearly our official start time. And good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening to all of you. We are wanting to do some live shoot demonstration. And to do that, we actually had to bring our computer in here. We had to ditch the audio setup. So we know the audio quality, and because this is a webcam, the video quality is not the best. So we're going to have Shivy kind of standing close to the computer. So when we do live demo stuff, she can talk directly into the mic if you guys have any questions. I'm going to demo stuff with Kirsten. We're also going to show you guys some Lightroom slides from the different courses that we have available, so you guys can see which courses you can reference for more information. Okay, so welcome to the webinar. This is, what is the name? 3 techniques on lighting for challenging situations. Yes? She said yes, sure. Perfect. Close enough. So what we're going to do is I want to go through some simple lighting techniques. We're just going to use a basic off-camera flash. We're going to do a little bit of modification. Very simple stuff. You guys can use a $100 off-camera flash. I'm going to be using the 600DX RTs because that's kind of what I like. Photex Mitroses, those are perfect. Anything is going to work totally fine. So before we jump in, let me make mention of a couple things that are coming up. We have a 2-day live wedding workshop. So this is our kind of start to finish business course. Well, not business course. It's like the everything course. We're going to be shooting. We're going to be doing live shoot demonstrations. We're going to be doing everything out here in Southern California. It is on April 22nd and 23rd. And this is in partnership directly with Canon. So the really cool part about this is obviously if you are a Sony or Nikon shooter, you are completely welcome. But we will have Canon technical support on site, and they will also be giving us gear that you guys can test and try throughout the workshop, which is kind of cool. That's kind of cool, right?
It's cool to me.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Cool.
Why don't you come a little closer so you can be like a part of this?
I don't want to be that close to you.
Really? Why do so many people say that? I don't understand.
Because you're
Okay.
unpredictable.
Okay. So that's April 22nd and 23rd. The cost of the workshop is $1,500, and Canon is doing a special promo for it. They're actually subsidizing the whole thing, and they're doing an early bird discount of $1,200. So it's a steal. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. Be sure to register because we just barely announced it, and we haven't really promoted it or anything. It's over half full already. So there's not that many spots left. Be sure to jump on board if you guys are interested. Also, as a little teaser to that, and we're going to go in a little more depth from this little webinar, on March 16th at the Canon Experience Center in Costa Mesa at 7 p.m. we have a 2-hour, I guess it's a little seminar that we're going to be doing there on creative lighting techniques for crappy situations. So it's kind of like this. We're going to go a little bit further in that one because it's a little bit longer, and it'll be a lot of fun. It's actually going to be free. You guys do need to RSVP because, again, they fill up and they want to limit space. But I think there's quite a bit of space available for that one. Just go register. So Shiv will post the links to those too. And lastly, which we will make mention throughout this little webinar, is we have a coupon code, right?
Woo!
Yes.
Are you asking me?
Can I get a little more, like a little more enthusiasm out of that? We have a coupon code.
Woo!
Better, much better. Okay, it's SLRL 50, which will get you $50 off premium membership. Webinar 50, or webinar 50, which will get you $50 off a yearly membership on SR Lounge Premium. Okay, that is our introduction. Let's get this thing kicked off. Gotta stretch out. Gotta stretch out.
So
Get
weird.
ready. Shivy, are you gonna come and do this with me, or am I gonna?
Everyone can just see your chest right now. I'm going to tell you. No one wants to see your chest.
Not everybody wants to see my chest. Okay, let's do a little screen share. What I want to talk about, girls and guys, is first this little concept. Turn screen share on. Okay. There we go. I'm going to hide this for just a brief moment. Okay, so we talk about this in a lot of our courses. Basically, like when it comes to modification of light, the worse the situation, the worse the situation, the more we need to basically spend time in kind of modifying a scene. And we're going to define out these 3 different terms. So natural light is going to be no modification, or if you are modifying, you're designing it to simulate natural light. So even when we put up a flash to simulate the sun, we still kind of refer to that as natural light techniques because you're simulating natural light. Then there's dramatic light. Heavy modification, darker backgrounds, creating subjects that kind of pop from the scene. And in challenging situations, we're going to kind of lean towards dramatic light and creative light, which is stylistic lighting that's basically not present or natural in a scene. It's used really for effect. So those are kind of the techniques that we're going to use most often when we're talking about kind of modifying an existing scene. So, Shiv, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so I think that the reason why we wanted to do this webinar in specific was...
There we go.
Click that one.
This one?
The reason why we wanted to do this topic is because I feel like everyone gets so caught up in the time aspect of a wedding that when you're under a time crunch, you just want to do the standard stuff. It's really hard to force yourself to be creative. So when we give you these very simple, like 3 standard or 3 types of lighting techniques that you could use, it's very easy in your brain after this webinar, hopefully, to just switch from one to the other and still get your standard shots, but try to think a little bit more out of the box. So I think that was our initial goal with this webinar. So hopefully this helps.
Yes, just a couple very simple techniques that'll work in basically every situation. So let's look at one of these other slides. We're going to start with the most basic, simple technique that it's really my go-to in so many different situations. Let's go ahead and turn on screen sharing. It's really funny. I'll write these slides and sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying when I go back and read it. So this is one of the case studies from Photographing the Bride.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the room that the bride is actually in right now. Not like at the present moment, but obviously on her wedding day, in case you guys missed that. But what we did is we actually placed a flash stand right here. And it's right behind the railing. And this is Carlo, who's giving me a really nice creepy look. He's our behind the scenes guy. He's not here right now, but he's awesome. So anyway, we have a flash stand right here and there is a grid on it and it's basically matching this little LED panel. So this little LED panel is adding a lot of light to her and I kind of just placed it in a way that it would kind of add additional light to the scene. So we're going to grid that and we're going to do that because we want to prevent light spill. And I'm going to demonstrate what happens when you don't grid versus when you do, because what we're trying to do is in a busy scene like this, you can see how when we took this shot, this isn't a final shot by any means, but it's a shot to kind of show you, even with a crap ton of stuff going on in this room, you got drinks on the table, you got all this stuff going on, the light we add to her really draws the eye into her. And so the first step is just putting light exactly where you want people to focus and using a grid so that that light doesn't spill everywhere. Now, once we take the actual angle that we're going for, I saw these frames up on the wall. It said family, and this was actually a picture of her when she was really young. So I thought what I was going to do is frame her in the image as she gets her makeup done over the image on the wall of her. It was shot at a 5D Mark III at 35 millimeters, 1/200 of a second, f1.4, and ISO 100. And we say light it and then go tight, or light it and tight it. Basically, that just means once you've lit and got your wide shots kind of going closer, and now that the background is knocked out, everything in the background kind of just falls away, and you can kind of step in close and shoot without having to worry too much about the other stuff going on. Oh, did it freeze? Let's go back. Okay, so I'm going to turn back on, maximize, screen share again. All right, tell me if it comes up now. You see it now? Okay, so this was the shot. So this is the actual reflection shot. This is where she's placed over her own image in the background. This is that little family picture mural on the wall that I'm shooting against and just capturing her reflection. So this was the wide shot that for me was the kind of the shot that I wanted to set the scene, because I thought it was a really pretty feature of the home, and it focuses obviously on the family. This is their family, the most important thing to them. And there is their daughter in the same picture frame, but this time she's getting ready for her wedding day. As you can see, her little silhouetted form. Other than that, we just flip into her and we just start shooting with that direction of light. So now we're just shooting with the light that's being added to the scene. And I think at this point, for this shot, I'm adding light from the flash because I needed that extra power to really brighten them up. For this shot, we might just be using LED panel, but you can just either continue to shoot with your flash or if there's a light that they have set up, that works too. Okay, so I want to show you guys, let's go ahead and stop sharing. And let's do a little live demo. There we go. All right. And as we're going, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to ask questions on anything. Okay, so let's go ahead. And Kirsten, I'm going to have you. And Shivani, do you want to come forward? And then what you can do is help me to kind of.
I'm going to screen share after you.
Okay.
After you take the shot, but we're going to show them the posing and stuff.
But because the audio is going to get crappy, maybe you can like kind of look for help explain and look
for
questions. So here's what I want to do. This is the 600EX RT. Currently, it is set to channel 1. I have it on group A. And any flash is going to work totally fine in this situation. Pick your poison. It really doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and place you right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this off the camera right, where the camera would be. And I'm going to grab my camera. There is no grid currently on that flash. Okay, I'm going to tether. What I always like to do is, and do you mind, I'm going to flip this to a different lens just so you get a little faster focus. I have on here a 5D Mark IV with a 50mm lens and the remote for that flash set to channel 1, and we're on group A. It's at 1/16 power. So what I like to do is decide how, we talk about this in all the lighting courses, every time you approach a scene, decide how you want the ambient light in that scene to look first. So a simple trick is to bring up your live view. So with live view, I can kind of get a little gauge and just see where my exposure is going to be at once this actually flips back. What's that?
Bring it a little closer.
Closer? So I'm just pressing the live view button. And this is, as I adjust, you can see Kirsten coughing. You see her coughing? Mm-hmm. Yep. So as I adjust, you're going to see the scene kind of darken down. And what I want to do is anytime I have a bad scene, I usually take the background down about 1 to 2 stops, depending on how bright I want it to be. Right now, I'm going to go to 1 200 per second at f2 and ISO 100. And what I'll do is I'll pop a quick shot just so you guys can see what this is going to look like without using flash first. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to go with the, I like the push button focus. Okay, so we're just going to go center her up and just press the button. And there we go. So let's go ahead and flip over to Lightroom so you guys can actually see what's okay. And we'll move this down. So you can see the background is very, very, very dark. Now, once I turn this on, I'm going to take that exact same shot. And you're going to see the flash fire. And the flash is currently set to 1/16 power. Let's see if that gives us roughly, it's about the right exposure, basically. But what you'll notice is the flash is already spilling onto this background. And that's where, if you're lighting a room that has a lot of junk in it, you're basically lighting up that junk. And so what we want to do is control that light and not allow it to spill everywhere. And so let me go ahead and flip back to...
I have a question. So is that flash that you have set up right now without any modifiers, is it zoomed in at all?
We can look. Let's see, I can't control the zoom on that. So right now it's at 24 millimeters.
Okay. So when you're using flashes, if let's just say you don't have a grid, you could always try using the 200 millimeters zoom on a flash.
Correct.
But the reason why we like the grid is that it basically creates a pin light. So it's essentially spotlighting our subject for us without having to go and adjust the zoom on the flash itself.
Well, and so I've adjusted the zoom now, and so we can see that with the zoom adjusted, you will get a less spill. But you'll notice that even with it adjusted, you'll see a big highlight right on the wall right there.
Okay.
See that? But we do put a lot more light on her. You'll notice that like the brightness of her actually got quite a bit brighter.
Mm-hmm.
So it concentrates the light quite a bit. But we're still going to get those areas of the room that we're getting spill, and that's the problem. So once we go with a grid, so I'm going to go ahead and just switch back. Let's go to the webinar. Okay. So this is the MagMod grid. We're just going to pop this right onto the flash.
The MagMod grids come in different sizes, right?
I think we only have
Or is it
one
some size?
grid type.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay. And now the same shot. Okay. And you can see we have now controlled the light. So whereas before we could see like all the background kind of light spilling all over the room, now that is completely controlled just to her. Now, obviously this light is a pretty hard light right now. So what we'll usually do is if we're shooting the female subject, we're going to have her kind of look in that direction. So what I would do is if she were getting ready, let's say she's getting her makeup done, I'd place that flash in a direction where she can actually kind of look towards the light. So if you were to look towards that light, Kirsten, and we were to fire off that shot again, it actually ends up being a much nicer kind of light. And you don't have to look right at it. You can even just look kind of down and towards this right side. And bring the chin back to me a little bit. Back, right there. And then chin down. Chin back to me a little bit more. Right there. Perfect. Okay. So once the face is actually in kind of that direction of light, you're going to get a much nicer lighting pattern. The other thing I wanted to mention with this is the light direction. So what you'll notice is, you see how the light's actually coming up her nose right here? Mm-hmm. So this is because we're lighting bottom up. So we need to actually get the light up a little bit higher. And light down towards it. So maybe we can show them, you want to flip back so you can see what we mean.
Yeah. I don't know your shortcuts because you are running Windows on a Mac. So, what is your? It's not great. What's your shortcut to get back to it?
It's just so Windows tab. Come on.
Oh, we have some questions too.
All right. Yeah, Lorraine, the exposure didn't switch. Oh, Carol, Shivani's going to repeat the stuff that I say closer to the camera so you guys can hear. Yeah. And yes, that's the exact same exposure. So we didn't do anything. We didn't change any power setting. We didn't change any exposure setting. I just wanted you guys to see the difference between with the grid and without the grid in the room. So yeah.
So Luke has the question: would a snoot work similar to the grid in this situation? And I do believe that it would. So Magmod also has a snoot, which Pi is now pulling out.
So this is the Magmod snoot. I'll demonstrate this in just 1 second. It's going to be similar, but it's going to be basically a grid on steroids.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take this shot. I move the flash position, so now it's coming top down. So now we'll get a much better angle of that shadow on the face. Okay. And you'll notice, shot, look at the shadow up here kind of coming up the nose compared to this.
Damn.
Okay. So the light quality, we haven't even done anything to soften the light, and yet we've already improved the quality of the light significantly just by adjusting the angle. We've just adjusted the face in relation to that light. That's all we've done so far, and we have a much, much better light. Now, I'm going to blow into this because let's say that that's not soft. A chore, dude. Like, switching on and off between webcam and this is like trying to...
Also, before you continue for a second, so
I didn't get to finish my analogy.
Okay. I don't. No one cares. All right. So the the switch that he just made, just increasing the height and also the angle of the flash, is something that I think a lot of people get stuck on. I mean, when I saw the first image which he took that was kind of like similar to her height, I only knew to raise the height because of that shadow level, and that's something that we talk about in Lighting 101. And I think it's like this is another crucial moment to emphasize that education is something that is so invaluable in moments like this. When you have 5 minutes to shoot something and all you have to do is change something so small like that to get a better shot, understanding how light works and the qualities of light is really going to take you to like the next level. So,
Thank you. So what I was going to show you guys is this. I should have done that while she was talking. I like it when she talks. I actually listen. I'm like, when I talk, she never listens.
This is such a lie, dude. You're such a liar.
So this is the inside of a 5-in-1, right? A very dirty 5-in-1.
I don't even know how you got those stains.
What happened to this thing?
Someone like pooped all over and smeared it.
Oh, that's disgusting. Nobody's pooping on anything, all right? Just relax. All right. So check it out. I look like I was picking my nose. I really wasn't picking my nose. Okay. What we've just done right here is we've tightened up the pattern of the light on this. And I'm going to demonstrate what that actually does. So that's this button. Let's see if we can get this down. Yeah, I don't have the right. That's not how to do this. Oh, you don't have to follow it. There we go. Okay. I'm going to see. Can you guys see when I do that?
You can kind of see it.
I'm pressing this little depth of field preview button. On my camera, I have it set so that it does a little flash preview. So it turns on that flash to get a little modeling light. Now what I can do is, I want to show you something. If Shiv were to hold this directly in front, and let's just put this in front of her face for a minute. Okay, so you guys can see the flash right now, right? I'm going to take the grid off. I want you guys to see what the grid is actually doing. So if I press that button, you'll see that reflector lights up. The thing is that you see outside the reflector, like if you look at Shiv's face right now, you actually see her face light up too, right? And that's the problem, is that if we're trying to soften light and do this, we're going to light up too much in a scene. With the grid on, watch that beam get tightened up, and it's not going to hit Shiv's face anymore. Okay, so that's what that grid is doing. Now, because I've added that grid on, what I can do is actually use a diffuser to essentially create a portable softbox with just a single flash, with no softbox, and just a diffuser. So watch this. I'm going to place this flash right back to where it was.
So in case you can't hear it, he's placing the flash right back to where it was, and then I am going to go stand in as assistant and scrim that
Shiv
light.
is going to take the and we can just put this on the stand. It doesn't need to be. So I have a little light stand right here. So I can just place this right here.
So is there a distance, would you say, that you kind of always resort to?
Well, so here's
Halfway
all I
in
want to
between.
do. All I want to do is have some fun. Okay, let me come to this side. Okay. I like this. I can point very easily. So what I want to do is when I press that flash test button, I want to fill up as much of that reflector as I can. Keep in mind that the softness of a light is depending on the size of that light source, right? So Shiv, if you're standing by the reflector and pull it in towards the flash, as that flash comes out of the light, it doesn't have a chance to kind of open up. So if she pushes it too close to the flash, it's going to fire through diffusion fabric, which will kind of make it slightly more diffused, but it's still a small light source because it's not actually opening up. I can actually do this. It's not actually opening up from, nope, I'm not coordinated enough. Not coordinated enough. There we go. It doesn't have enough distance between there, oh, this is so hard, and there to actually open up. When I move this back away, so if we pull it back away, or back towards Kirsten, now the light will actually open up against her, and we're going to create a softbox. So let's go ahead and do this. Remember that whenever you do this, you're going to lose a lot of light. And Jake's asking, could you use the mag sphere instead of a diffuser to soften the light? This is the mag sphere. I'm going to show you exactly what it's going to look like. So hold on for 1 second. Let's take that shot. Kirsten, bring the chin towards me a little bit. There you go, right there. And let's go ahead and just adjust our flash power. I'm going to take it up. I'm going to guess. I'm going to take it up 2 stops to 1/4 power this time. Okay. Go ahead and click. There we go.
So he took that flash up a couple stops because?
I took the flash off 2 stops because we're losing a lot of light when we go. So let's go back and check this out.
Wow.
We have still prevented the light from landing on the background, right? But we've gone from, look at the shadow transition in these 2 shots. So let me give this to Shivy. Okay.
So that left one is with just the grid and the flash, and then the right one is with the scrim.
So that becomes a portable softbox basically wherever you are going. It's so incredibly simple. Go back to here. This is so incredibly simple. You go into a room, you can create a softbox with just a gridded flash and the diffusion fabric. You can also just use the gridded flash if you just want to pin light something to lift it out of an entire scene. Either way, each of these techniques works totally great. Now let me show you what it looks like if you don't use the flash power lost a lot. But your audio is missing when you switch between apps, so avoid speaking between. Yeah, I think we stopped talking between. That's probably what you're noticing is we didn't talk. But the flash power lost a lot. Would you increase flash power? Yeah, so a rule, we went up from 1/16 power with that direct flash shot to 1/4 power. So we increased by 2 stops. Okay, let's go over here. That's the MagMod mag grid.
Yeah, it's called the mag grid.
So I want to show you what happens now if your reflector is too close. So now the reflector is much, much closer to the flash. When I take this shot, we are going to get more power. But we also get a harder light. Okay? So did you notice how, look at this, the light quality on this, it's a little bit less specular, but in terms of the shadow wrap, notice how we get a much better shadow wrap on this shot because the light source became a lot larger than on this shot. This shot actually looks very much like the first shot that we did. So here was the first shot, okay? We've reduced some of the highlights. That's where we talk about in lighting 101, we talk about a soft light versus a large light, or sorry, a soft light versus a hard light, and a diffused light versus a specular light. So we see the light more diffused, but we really didn't help in terms of making the shadows softer. That's very, very similar to what's going to happen when we put this guy on. Okay, let me turn this. I'm like praying that I don't accidentally hit the end button when I'm going and switching all these things. So this is, can we see the reflector right there? So you can see how close the reflector was placed to the flash right there. Placing this over the flash does the exact same thing. This is just going to basically soften it's going to diffuse the light a little bit, make it a little bit less specular, but you're not increasing the size of the light source by that much. So you're still going to have a hard edge on the shadow.
So just to reiterate, for when he's talking about specular lighting, that means mostly, since Kirsten's here, let's just talk about females for a second. So girls get really oily in their T-zones, for example, which is this T right here. And that's where you're going to see very shiny highlights. So we add diffusion like a cloth or a sphere to reduce that highlight.
I'm going to back off the power a little bit. So right now we are still at 1/4 power. I'm going to go ahead and take this back to, let's go to 1/8 power. So if we bring back up that basically we have diffused the light a little bit, but by and large, it's still pretty similar to the very first shot. So here was the first shot, and here's the shot with that little mag boob on it. Mag sphere. That's it. That's the right word. So the shadows really haven't changed that much. We've just diffused it a little bit so we get a little bit less specular of a highlight. But in terms of the size of the light, the quality of the light, it didn't change dramatically. Does that kind of make sense? Let's turn on. Does that kind of make sense, guys?
Yes, the webinar will be available for replay as soon as we finish this, Abhishek. So I will personally be adding the links everywhere.
Yeah. So step number 1, you step into a not so good scene. I want you guys to grab your grid, control where exactly you want to add that light, and just add that light to that one little spot, and then darken down the scene. Let the scene drop away, and all the busyness and kind of nastiness in that scene will fall away with it. Granted, do what you can to make a scene look nice. If you can clear out the junk, if you can kind of clean it up, if you can take angles where you're blocking and concealing stuff, that's all the better. But adding light to where you want people to focus is already going to do a tremendous amount in pulling away all the other distractions in a not so good scene. We've also shown you now how to basically create a spot or a pin light, and then how to create a softbox anywhere you go by simply grabbing a diffuser and holding it out maybe 2 feet in front of that flash so that it fills the diffuser and then lights the subject. Let's show you guys another little trick.
If you guys have questions, please do comment. We love answering questions. Yay, questions.
All right.
Also, we should mention that MagMod is one of our partners. So if you actually go to your SLR Lounge profile, if you're a free member or if you are a premium member, there should be a list of partner discounts. And we do have a discount code for MagMod products, and we love them. A lot of our studio members use them. So I would definitely say that they are the most affordable and just beyond valuable modifiers for portable lighting setups.
So someone asked earlier what the difference was between a snoot versus a grid. While we have this out for 1 sec, let me just show you guys. So think of the snoot. Okay. So think of the snoot as a higher power version of this. So it's going to concentrate that light even further with this. Depending on, and you're going to have to repeat this to them,
Yeah.
but you guys can see this, how far it comes out. Depending on how far it's shrunk, so you can actually, you can tap this in. And how far you pull this out is the level of snootedness.
So the snoot, for those of you that can't hear what he's saying, the snoot is has a retractable snoot. So you can reduce or increase the size of the pin light based on how much you retract or pull the snoot out. That being said, what is the shape of the actual light source that's coming out?
Circle.
Okay.
What is the shape
It's
of
kind
this
of, but
snoot?
it's kind of ovular, though. I feel like it's like a little bit ovular.
Yeah, it's not like perfectly circular.
Yeah. Versus like with the grid, you get. I like using the grid over the snoot, just. But you'll see now why.
And look down to the right side again. There you go, right there. Chin back to me a little bit more, right there. Eyes down. There you go, right there. So you'll see where a snoot is going to basically concentrate. And this is actually what we use in photographing the groom. So in photographing the groom, we used a snoot to pin light just the groom, where he's lit up and none of the other groomsmen are lit up in the shot. So you'll see from a standard grid. Let's see. Let's go to the standard grid and let's go to the snoot and just compare those two.
Softbox grid. Yeah.
Oh, that's a softbox grid. Let's go to that grid. You can see how it really just concentrates the light to one small spot. Everything else just falls away, basically.
So we had a really good question. I want to answer.
Go ahead. Let's jump back to that. Turn this on. Okay. Boom.
So Arul asks, when you got the first shot, you said you used ambient light, but the first shot was super dark. Should we underexpose that much? I'm going to say something before you answer.
Sure.
So if you remember the example that we had showed, the slides that we were talking about, where it was the bride and the staircase, the reason why we underexposed for that scene is because we didn't want to see all the other junk and all the other people involved in the scene. So we're pin lighting for that reason, and we're also underexposing so that we don't see all of what's happening. Because that's the whole point is to avoid all that.
So Arul said, when you got the first shot, you said use ambient light, but that first shot was super dark. Should we underexpose that much? Arul, this is all going to depend. The amount of underexposure that you should use is depending on the scene itself. If the scene doesn't look great, you underexpose to whatever level makes it look better. Like warm scenes, like an indoor hotel room, usually when it's kind of junky looking, I'll underexpose by 1 to maybe 2 stops. But outdoors, you might not need to go that far if it's a decent scene. It's just really going to be a kind of artistic question at that point. Eric says, let's see how it's going to look with the diffuser right next to the model. So Eric, you can kind of guess it's going to look even softer. So that when that light source opens up even further, it's going to wrap very, very nicely. And let's go ahead and we can show that real quick if you want to see it.
So Nancy, we're going to show you what it looks like when we retract. Oh no, sorry. We're going to show you what it looks like for when we add the reflector closer to Kirsten.
Because she wants to see retracted?
So she wanted to see an example of it retracted.
So Nancy retracted, it just becomes a little bit more open. You know what I mean? So it just gets a little bit wider. And you can kind of... So the closer this thing is to the head of the flash, the larger the light source is versus when you pull this out further away from it, it's just getting a little bit more small. So that's really the only difference. Hi. Okay. Let's just show this guy. So I'm going to control this. And
Okay,
let's say I wanted to do just a nice little portrait of Kirsten. I'm going to bring this right up to her.
So right now we're just bringing the reflector really close, as I think it was Eric that asked. And then we just added a grid to the flash. And then are you going to change your power settings on your flash?
Probably. I'm going to actually switch to a different lens. I'm going to go, like if I were to shoot a close-up portrait of somebody on location, this would be a very simple technique just to do a nice soft side angle. It would look really good.
Actually, him switching his lens is probably another thing to note, that when you have really crappy situations, you want to try and use lenses that will help you rather than harm you. So sometimes using a 24 prime or a 24-70 and getting an entire scene won't really help you, right? Because you have all these elements to work with. But he's using a 100 or in this, or we can use a 7200, whatever it is, to compress the background so it just looks like a blank wall, and then just get a simple portrait.
Well, so this is going to be just a very simple portrait. 1/200 wait. That was just to test my lighting. Why are you looking at it? Why are you showing that?
Why
you don't
would
even.
you like to do that?
did
You're
that.
supposed to pose me.
I wasn't taking the actual shot yet.
Oh no.
Okay, we're gonna run this at 1/4 power, and 1/2 of a second. That's what you get, dude. You made a funny face during a test shot. That is.
And right after I said, "What do you want me to do?"
I
you
thought
said
that you took a minute.
nothing,
Hey,
and
listen.
then I just
Photographer rule. If someone makes a stupid face during a test shot, you always shoot it and use it against them later. That's my rule.
As many images that Pi has been in, we've used as blackmail.
So what you're going to do is after this, step a little bit closer back. There we go.
Okay.
Turn the
So
left
he
shoulder
is
away from
placing
you.
Kirsten
There
even
you
closer
go.
to the diffusion cloth, so that way he'll get a lot more bounce.
Yeah. you-
And our flash power is
Flash power is 1/4.
okay.
So all we did was turn it into a very simple, soft,
Aww.
one light shot. So you're right there, champ. You doing okay?
Yeah.
He's stumbling all over the place.
I'm
So
stunned by my own beauty.
a very
Yes.
simple, and you can see how soft the shadow is going to wrap because she's so close to that light source. If you guys saw, and let's see if you can see, there we go, the crop. So if you guys saw, she's very, very close to the light source. Now, what we would do typically is we would pull the chin over a little bit more so that we get a little bit kind of more angle in the nose and we get a little bit more defined jawline right here. But the light quality is what I want you guys to focus on right now. And it looks really, really nice. And if you don't want that dramatic of a light, you just add another reflector to the other side to bounce light back, basically.
Oh,
It's a very simple trick.
I don't think you screen shared, yo.
Oh, do we not?
Okay, I see our faces on there.
Uh-huh. Hold on. Hi, guys.
We are
Turn on
using the
screen share.
100.
Can you show the photo?
Sorry,
We got you.
100 macro 2.8.
So there's the shot, and you can see like basically the shadow wrap is very soft. She's super close to that light source, and so it's just a nice little single light setup. Let's just do a quick little. Like, if you're standing right there,
What are you doing? So on this stuff.
I want you to hold. Let me grab this and flip back to the actual webinar. So what we're going to do is if you wanted a second light, and again, these are very simple techniques just to use anywhere, right? So grab a reflector, and all Shivi's going to do is just hold this basically right behind. So now what we're doing is we're catching light from this, we're opening it up. We're using a silver on this side because it's going to be a little more powerful. Now, if it's too powerful, switch it out to a diffuser. But this will give us that second light source that'll kind of lift the shadows out of that side. So there you go. Take it back out a little bit, and then brush the hair so we kind of get all the hair close together. There you go.
In front or in back?
That's it. And then just on the shoulders, kind of like tidy up. I'm just having her tidy up her hair a little bit. I really don't know if we got any better than the last time. Okay. Okay, bring the chin just a little bit over this way. Chin down a little bit. There you go. And then straighten the head a little. There you go, right there. Perfect. And give me that little rapidly. Soft smile, there you go, right there. Oh, and you know what? Stepping a little bit closer to me. Got a little bit of light in that button. There you go. Chin down. Put the top of the hand a little bit. Right there.
Also, so obviously I know you guys can't hear Pi's posing instructions, but the good news is that we have a really exciting workshop coming to Premium, and it's going to be it's going to be a very in-depth
You will.
posing seminar. So
You guys the fill. So basically all we did was this is like you can see the shadows on the side of the face are completely deep. Whereas here, the next shot they get open up a little bit, and the next shot they get open up even more, just depending on the distance of the reflector. That's the one right there. That's the one. So if you need to open up the shadows a little bit, you can always do that. You can add in, let's go ahead and go back. Oh my gosh. Oh, so much clicking. Okay, easy way to open up the shadows. I want to show you guys something else. This is more fun. I want to get to a more fun graph.
So once again, for those of you that may have tuned in late when I made this announcement, there is a premium discount code in the offers section where your chat window is. And the code is webinar50 in all caps, or you can use the code SLRL50. Definitely at least check out premium, check out our main page so you can see what kind of education we offer if any of this was interesting to you. So definitely check out.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do for this one. This is one of my favorite things to do. This is a very typical studio type setup to get flat light. So basically you shoot, yes.
Perfect framing.
Yes. This is how you frame every one of your subjects. Put them in the hole and then take a picture. So it's a perfect little spot to shoot through, and you can basically use it to reflect light. Now on location, this is fantastic because what we can do is if we have a window light, like, can you point it over here?
Point the camera there?
Yeah. So if we actually had light coming through the windows, you could just bring this up and reflect light right back to like the bride. I'll do this for a lot of like my bridal close-up portraits to get more of that kind of beauty type shot. It's a very soft light. It looks beautiful. But we can do the same thing even without light, because right now it's dark, right? All I'm going to do is set up that one flash. Again, we're using the grid to control the spill of that light. What we're going to do is I'm going to have Shivani, or my assistant, to hold this right in front, so we basically catch that light and we fire right through it onto our subject.
Okay, give me 1 second.
I'm gonna do it myself. Boom.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, hold on. Let me square up the camera again. 1 second.
Right, hold that up. Getting close. We just need to make sure. I'm gonna go around the other side, just make sure that it's hitting. Okay. I'm gonna go up to 200 ISO. I'm gonna power my flash up to maybe 1/2 power. Let's just test this.
So he went up to 1/2 power. Please hit me at that.
There. So that like direct flash. And I'm going to show you guys how to tweak this. Okay. So this is a little bit too direct flashlight, right?
Sure yet.
Let me share. Share. Turn on screen share. Okay. So what you'll notice is that this looks like direct flash. And the reason is when we look into the eye, you'll notice that we're only lighting up part of the reflector. So basically what's happening is we're not getting a full kind of fill into that reflector light. So what needs to happen here, now I want you guys to see that, because if you get this light looking kind of not so pretty, it's because of that. So we need to fill up the entire reflector and get that soft light on her. And we're going to do that by basically taking the grid off. So I'm just going to remove the grid. And I'm going to look at where the light is coming off from this. And we are going to get kind of a hair light on her right now, because it is hitting the side of her. So there's a couple different options.
So just do that one more time to get to it.
I'm just testing where the flash is actually hitting right now. Okay, so you can just go with the and bring that light in closer. See if we can't get that to be a little bit softer. And we're probably going to have to adjust our power setting too. It's going to be a lot brighter. Yes, it's dramatically better. We're going to grab that. I'm going to go to 100 ISO, and we're going to go to 1/4 power.
So we went down to 1/4 power. We were at 1/2 before.
I'm
And now we're going down to 8.
Better. Okay, we're also going to do one with right behind her so you guys can see what that looks like. So.
Oh.
Hi! Okay. So here we can see, like, so basically you get this hair light, and then you get kind of this soft, nice light directly. And what you can see is if we zoom in, this is a little bit soft, not quite focused. But we are filling up more of this, but we need to fill up even more. So if you're cropping, like you'll notice that we're cropping right at the hairline right here, we can actually place the flash directly behind her because we're not even do that. And you're going to see it kind of take shape.
So for those who asked, I think, Jackie. So yeah, he just cut a 5-in-1. You can see the remnants. He still left the other reflectors in here. He just cut a rectangle and a 5-in-1.
Yeah. So cool. Okay, you can see it coming directly behind her, but you're not going to be able to see. Yeah, cool. So now we can get a little bit of the hairline. And actually brush the hair, brush the hair in the back so not getting some points. There you go. Lean forward a little bit. There you go. Okay. Perfect, right there. Smile like you, girl. Perfect. Totally
It is
cheesing it.
easy, and that's why we love it, Jackie. We're all about eating here.
Totally cheesing it. Wow. Okay. So what you can see though is you get this nice little hair light. So basically what we've done is we've modified from the shot where it looks basically like direct flash to kind of softening it a little bit, getting a little bit better, and refining that light. I love your expression. You're so ridiculous. So we get a nice little hair light which kind of separates from the background. None of us can focus on. And we've opened up the reflector quite a bit, but we can still, if we can get that light around the reflector even more, then we could get a little bit more of a soft kind of light off of it. But it's not bad. We can back it up a little bit. I gotta do this again, dude. You are show that shot.
So
It's
Abhishek asked,
ridiculous.
wouldn't the reflector spill light around?
Yeah. So what's going to happen is the light kind of, you know, when you use a ring flash, it has that kind of same darkened edge shadow around the subject, which against a dark background kind of looks nice. It's a kind of just effect that you're going to get. But yeah, when you're using a window to backlight, it just goes white. So you'll see in like Photographing the Bride, we use the same technique with just a window light. The background just goes white. You get a really soft, airy kind of image to it. Here we're going to get a little bit more of a dark look because the background is dark. But the technique works for these kinds of little headshot type images, detail shots, anywhere you go.
Also, side note, so in what he just mentioned, Photographing the Bride, we actually use just a window light. So we showed you that it is obviously nighttime here in California, so we can't use the... You want to do it yourself? No?
I just want to see it.
So you can see that too. So we obviously don't have daylight to use, but in Photographing the Bride, we actually use just... The background was just the window, so we put her back to the window, and then we had this reflector bouncing all of that natural daylight onto the bride. So it essentially looked exactly kind of like this setup, but it was all natural light. So this is something to just take into consideration that you could do with a flash if you don't have the natural light and with daylight.
Okay, yeah, I do need help. Not with holding the reflector, I just need help in general. I'm going to go ahead and zoom this in.
So he is zooming in that flash too. What power? I mean, what zoom length?
105.
105.
Pull that up.